Hi, welcome to the Last Supper of Divergent.
Last Supper.
Okay, on the far end is Zoe, then Lloyd-Hughes, Ansel, Amy, Christian, Maggie Q, Ben Lamb, Mekhi Phifer, Miles.
I like how some of us have last names and some of us don't.
Who's first?
Hey guys, Mark Walters of BigFanboy.com. I'm honored to have the first question. Thank you very much for coming to Comic-Con. Can you talk a little bit about working with Neil Burger and what it is that he kind of brought to this, and maybe individual experiences that each of you had, if you want to just go one by one on that?
Do you say Neil Burger?
Yeah.
Neil Burger.
Which end?
Do we do one at a time, did you say?
All the same
Okay, I'll
time.
start.
No,
I think,
all at the same time, Ansel.
1, 2, 3, go.
Neil Burger.
do it how we rehearse, guys.
I'll go first. Neil Burger, I loved his film Limitless, which I went to see in the cinema, and then I watched again once I knew I had this job. And I was so excited to work with him because I thought he was so right for the story and for what he could bring to it, which is his artistic vision. And if you saw Limitless, he had such a style and unique vision to some of the shots and the way he told the story. So that was great. And then his vibe on set was just totally chilled. I think he has Hawaiian roots or background, and he just had such a laid-back, calm aura throughout. He never changed. He never lost his sense of calm. And I really appreciated working with him. Good luck matching that, guys.
Yeah. I think Neil's a very stylized director. He's very professional. I think we were in good hands because we saw his last films and they speak for themselves, like Limitless, and it's beautiful to look at. To explain Neil in a kind of a sentence or whatever, I think if you're having a conversation with Neil and a car accident happens next to you, he's not going to leave eye contact because he's so focused. And there'd be times where we'd be on set and we'd just be like, kind of didn't know what to do, and Neil was always there to kind of guide us, and I think we were in good hands. To have Doug and Lucy and everybody, we were just a pretty magical experience.
Yeah, and to add on to what Christian was saying,
Thank you, Miles.
You're welcome. You were fantastic. I loved everything you said. There's only a certain amount of directors that can handle a big $80 million, dollar film or whatever the final number is. I forget because they paid me so much. But it is. And before you do a movie like this, he hadn't had that kind of experience. I think he showed that he can build that world in Limitless. Limitless looked a lot bigger than what the budget was on it. So Neil's got a great eye. We had really great cameramen, and the world that we created, I think people are going to be pretty excited about once they see it.
I concur. I think Neil is wonderful. Definitely a visionary, a man who kind of knows what he wants, but still allows you to bring your input to the table and create something magical. I like to call him the man of 1,000 takes, because he'll shoot it until he gets it. He'll shoot it until he gets it. I tell you that. The editor should have no problems. But really just a great guy. Kudos to Lucy and Doug. They just were backbone of the production. And I think that we all had a great time, and I think we all learned a lot, and are looking forward to seeing the final product. Yes.
A little bit for someone else.
Right.
I think as an actor, it's like you want a director who makes you feel comfortable in a place that you can really create and try a lot of different things. And Neil always made me feel like I could create and try the scene in many different ways. And I felt like he was always on my side as a director.
He touched me.
Everywhere.
Emotionally, every day.
That's something negative about the others. I think to Neil's credit that there's a lot of us here, and not even all of us are here. You have a lot of different actors at different levels and different ages and different this and different that, and that's hard. There are moments where I actually feel bad for someone who has to deal with all of us. Because we all have our own ideas about what we want to do, and we feel strongly about certain things. And he was very kind and diplomatic in that process. And that can be very frustrating. I'm sure he wanted to punch us all in the face at some point, you know, when we were, you know, trying to develop what we were doing and going back and forth and back and forth. That is the process, and it can sometimes be painful, but I think that, you know, for somebody to handle all that coming at him the way that he did, it made me really like him and respect him a lot in that sense, for sure.
And I think also when you have a director who does have such a strong visual idea, often they won't necessarily be so interested in the acting side. But I think what's quite unusual about Neil is that every single note that he gives will ameliorate your performance. Like it just gets better and better with every note that he gives.
For Miles and anyone else on the cast who'd like to add to it, we know how small some Hollywood circles can be, and you can see a lot of the same people get called on a lot of the same auditions even. Have you had a chance to talk to any of your colleagues who have also been a part of literary franchise movies? What was their advice, and if not, what sort of things would you want to ask them about getting involved in something like this?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends, so I have a lot of people to talk to. No, I mean, I don't...
They don't think so, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really... Yeah, so I had like a buddy or two that was in the Twilight franchise, and yeah, they said that it does, your life does change. And I think Shailene is kind of realizing it for the first time. You know, she just got done filming, you know, like a day or two ago. And it's big for all of us, but for Shailene to really be the face of this franchise and to come down to Comic-Con and see the big poster and see all the people here and how big this thing could get. You obviously have no idea, but if it does go like some of these other franchises have gone, you are trading in a lot of your personal life. And there is going to be people taking pictures of you, and it does change. So at the same time, you want your work to be seen. It's a trade-off, but I think we're all happy to be a part of Divergent. I think it's something that we'll look back on with a lot of good memories.
Yes, over here. Rama, just want to ask, when it comes to literary franchise like this, what are some of your fears when it comes to approaching the characters that, you know, of course this has a huge fan base, so, you know, we want to please the readers as well, so how do you approach that?
With respect for their appreciation and love for the project. And I think we all had unique characters that were loved for their own different reasons. So, you know, I know that when I read the book, it said that Will was blonde. And I'm not blonde, so that was something I had to get through on my own personal journey. And hopefully the fans, because there are, you know, such a passionate and amazing fan base, they can watch the film and be happy with what's been done. And I think everyone was cast here for how right they were for the character. And that was, I think, an amazing thing that the producers and the director did, which was cast the right actor, the best actor for the role, rather than just some cool actors who would be good to be in a film with. And hopefully the character portrayals will come out in that.
Question over there on the right.
This is for Miles. I got to see you and Shailene in Spectacular Now at the LA Film Festival, and how was taking what you guys did in that movie, which was so small, what did you take from your relationship there and bring to this film?
Well, really, this movie is just a continuation of our last movie, and it's just, you know, you're in love 1 minute, and then the next minute you're out of love, and you fall in and out of love. So it was, no, Shailene's a great actress, and I think that for that, you know, for your love interest, there's only a certain amount of actresses maybe that you get a chance to work with, and I'm lucky that it's been, you know, Shailene for 2 of these movies. I think she's one of the most talented actresses around, and it's easy. I mean, she's just very, she's very pretty, and we're comfortable with each other. And yeah, man, I don't know, it's hard to talk about it.
You're really good at this.
No, but she's great, and I'm lucky.
Hi, my name is Sarah Kizak. I'm with the MacGuffin podcast, and my question is for Mekhi. People know you obviously from ER. You were on it for several years. So
yes,
this
I've
is
saved many lives. Many lives have been saved on my watch, baby.
So this is a total departure for you. So what made you decide to kind of go into this genre of movie?
Well, I wish it was as simple as me deciding, but they decided for me. But it's a great genre to be a part of. I mean, to have a film of this magnitude and of this genre. I have a 14-year-old son who has never been excited about anything I've ever done in the past, except bringing home a check so he can go to Disneyland. But he's really a fan of the book Divergent, and so he's really excited about that. So that was one thing that, one of the many things that helped motivate me to really be excited about it was that he was actually going to be excited about something that I did. So he's part of that motivation.
Hi, my name is Frank Lane, and I'm from futurepreviews.com. And this is for the whole cast. Someone can answer if you guys have, since this is going to be a really big hit, are you guys signed on to do the sequel?
I'm psyched, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, because we met all these awesome people, like, I only got to work with Kate Winslet for 2 days, yet I really enjoyed both those days. I know in the sequel we get to do more work together. I'm sad that my mom and my dad die in this, because I really liked working with Tony and Ashley.
Don't ruin
Oh, spoiler alert!
So that's too bad that I don't get to work with them anymore, but I'm looking forward to working with Kate again.
Not everybody on this panel lives,
Yeah.
so that's a loaded question. But I'm excited.
Hey guys, some of you I've met on set, and one thing I didn't get a chance to. The author Veronica wasn't there. How much? Because when you talk to the people from Harry Potter and from Twilight about the author was able to give them insights into their character. How much did she help inform each of you in some capacity about things, because she has in her head the further stories that are going to go on? Just feel free to jump in, whoever. We'll do it alphabetical.
We're all like, who?
I mean, I think it helped a lot having Veronica on set with us. We were able to stay as true to the book as we could. I think for any situation to have the person that created the material kind of take that journey with you, it helps a lot. So, but also she was open to, us finding our own way in some of the characters and, and that stuff. So, yeah, it was very helpful.
I think she was very respectful, though. It was amazing that she was invited to be a part of it, not kind of left out, but she was also, in my interaction with her, very respectful of that this was a film being made, and she wasn't going to start, giving notes or leaving things in our trailers about how she'd like to give us some notes separately, or
That was really nice.
So, Miles, if you want to take over right there and bring up that story.
Veronica came on set one day.
Okay, this is it.
And we all met her for the first time, and Ben Lloyd-Hughes goes back to his trailer at the end of the day, and there's a balloon and a card in there. And it says, "Dearest Ben, it was such a pleasure meeting you. You're such a lovely young man. I would love to get a drink and talk further about your character. Love, Veronica." And the phone number. Well, the phone number was my buddy's phone. And Ben thought his character was coming back to life, and I felt really bad because he was so excited. He's like, "Man, Veronica really liked me, and I think, maybe Will's going to have a spin-off." And then I felt bad for pranking him.
Wait a minute, you felt bad?
I felt bad.
You did not feel bad.
I
feel
felt
bad at all.
I felt
bad.
Yeah,
and
Zoe
I
ratted
was
us
great.
out.
Anyway,
Zoe really
Veronica
did
is
feel
just really great to have on set, and it is. I mean, if you're going to pick somebody's brain about Divergent, it's great that the author was on set. 'Cause a lot of the times, once a book's made into a movie, that author's not really on set. Now it's our story. But I think we're very open to having her along. I know I picked her brain as much as I could. No, I can't.
She didn't really do that. She kind of just...
Drawing the air.
You did ask her one question, though, Miles, remember? You asked her one question, which was who did she regret killing off?
Right, and she said your character, and then from there I was like, now I have to put a balloon and a card in your room, so you think you're coming back to life.
In fairness to this, everyone should know that the girl sitting next to me, Zoe Kravitz, was the one with the conscience who finally revealed that it was a prank. So
Snitches
credit
get
has to be
stitches.
done.
But I'm also in trouble with that end of the table.
Yeah.
So this question is for Ansel. When you realized that you were going to be part of not just one big movie adaptation, but two, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
I was really excited because Fault in Our Stars is a really good story, and one of my favorite books I ever read. And I loved working with Shay on Divergent, and I was really excited to be able to do more projects with her. You know, it was like a shame that I was only able to do one thing because like she probably is at this point the best actress I've ever worked with. So I know we're both very excited about doing Fault.
Hi guys and girls.
Hi.
Can you talk a little bit about what you think, what makes Divergent such an important story to tell? I mean, for a change, it doesn't have vampires or werewolves in it and no zombies either.
We added all that stuff in.
Yeah,
it's in there now.
You think it does.
Really
We don't have
exciting.
zombies.
So what makes it important to tell this story?
Amy, why don't you?
Amy, that's
Oh, wow.
great.
Well, I think something that's really kind of awesome about Divergent is that it is about young people and gives importance to the decisions that they make. I think sometimes teenagers or young adults tend to get maybe brushed to the side a little bit, not given the power that they actually do hold or not acknowledged for the power that they hold. So I like that about the story, and I think it's important because maybe we're not so far away from the world of Divergent. We tend to maybe compartmentalize people a little bit or make them one-dimensional in our minds, and they're just not. So yeah, I think it's a kind of beautiful thing that Veronica's created, sort of an outlet to talk about those things.
That was well put.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
I was wondering, you're all very young, but was there a moment in your lives where you felt that you diverged into a different area, something that made an impact that changed your lives maybe?
This movie.
What the path of.
Yeah, I think me personally, I remember the decision that I made as a young person to become an actor. It was something that when I read the story and when I read the script, I realized that I, in a way, had made a life-changing decision about my future, about what I wanted to be, and about not going to. I had a place at university. I didn't go to university, and I went a different way, a completely different path, and that. I think that's something that all young people do in some shape or form, whether it's a small decision or a big decision, and that's why the story can be so powerful to so many people, because we've all had those moments at some point.
I think it's cool too because a lot of us, for me at least, like I was on a completely different path before I entered this film, got this part, and I think being in a cast of people who are younger and relatively new, it was cool to sort of be alongside them in having similar experiences. I was a nursing student and I was working at my church, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, my story is not dissimilar to some of the other people at this table, you know, just a complete shift, you know, a change in our lives because of this opportunity. So that's been cool.
Anyone else or up here?
Hi, this question is for Maggie Q. Maggie is here. So you have experience working on sci-fi and action movies, and can you talk about this character? How different is she that compared to Nikita or other role that you played? Is she like a cool, sexy figure?
Oh, sexy. You know, I don't do any action in this film. It was really funny because Ansel, was it me and you? We were on the carpet and somebody said, so Maggie, we know you do action in this, but Ansel, like, did you ever get to do anything? And he's like, actually, I do. And I was like, I didn't do anything. It was like the complete opposite. this was a nice kind of departure. I mean, I'm sure there will be action in the future in the second one or whatever, but I mean, it was funny because I didn't want to get involved in something that was action heavy after, you know, so 10 months out of the year doing action all the time. And not because I don't love it, just because, you know, it's a box, you know. I'm climbing out of it, but, you know, it's a little deep. So when I actually read the script, I was just like shocked and happy that it was this, you know, sort of just straight drama and, you know, no action and none of that, you know, having to do with sort of what the character sort of encompassed, right? There's a strength to her and there's a toughness to her, but it's something sort of very internal, and she's very much a product of her circumstance, and so that's where that kind of that survivor thing comes, and you see it. And I know that I hope we gear up for a second one, but it was really funny because I was training to do this film for the look of it, because I wanted Tori to look like a kind of muscly badass, and it's so vain and weird for me to train to look a certain way, because I only train, you know, for a result, to be good at something, but I've never trained just to look a certain way. It was really odd. But yeah, it's been a nice departure for me, and I'm actually really, really thrilled at the opportunity.
I only train to look good. So that's where we're different.
What happened?
Burn, Maggie Q. I let myself go. I'll be honest with you, I let myself go after this movie.
Hi, Grace.
Core is overrated.
Over in the far right, and this is the last question.
Okay, great. Thank you. Grace Randolph with YouTube's Beyond the Trailer. I'm wondering, you know, movies are not only getting bigger these days, but so are casts. As an actor, how is it to, you know, you want to balance being part of a group, creating a world, but also standing out, obviously. So how are you doing that in Divergent?
Well, this was interesting for... sorry, did you want to go?
I just knew you were going to say something.
Okay. Well, you know, someone's got to say something. Hi, guys. So, no, this is interesting because it is rare, at least, I mean, for me anyway, it's rare to be in such a big group. And you look down here and it's a lot of guys all about the same age. And all your characters have your own storyline. But at the same time, for a lot of this stuff, you know, we're a part of this initiation. We're a part of this, you know, kind of dauntless training program. So that was cool. It really reminded me of high school theater when you're all in the same age, you're playing dads, moms, this and that, but you do have that kind of ensemble feel. The last kind of, I guess, you know, usually movies, if you're that guy at that age, you're kind of the only one, but for this, it was all of us there, and we all went up and started training together and sweating together, and it was a lot of fun.
Anyone else?
Sweating
I think also the characters are so well defined that in fact you're not thinking about how you're going to stand out. You're thinking about how you're going to play the character to the best of your ability, and that you can only really do that with really good writing, which I think this is.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right. Thanks, guys. I think